At this point in the series, you may be asking a reasonable question. Why Gnostoicism? We've explored Stoicism, we've explored Gnosticism, but why combine them at all? Why not simply practice Stoicism? Why not simply follow Gnosticism? Why combine them at all? Why simply practice Stoicism? Why not simply follow Gnosticism? Why attempt a synthesis? To answer that question, we must first understand what each tradition is trying to accomplish. Stoicism emerged as a practical philosophy for navigating life. Its focus was not on escaping the world, but on learning on how to live within it. The Stoics understood something that remains just as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago. Much of human suffering comes from trying to control what cannot be controlled. We worry about outcomes. We obsess over the opinions of others. We cling to possessions, status, and expectations. Then we suffer when those things inevitably change. Stoicism offers a different approach. Rather than attempting to control the external world, it teaches us to master ourselves, our judgments, our reactions, our actions, our character. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once observed that no person is free who is not master of themselves. Whether we agree with every aspect of Stoicism or not, it is difficult to deny the wisdom in that observation. A person who is controlled by anger is not free. A person who is controlled by fear is not free. A person who is controlled by every impulse and desire is not free. Stoicism seeks liberation through discipline. It teaches resilience, responsibility, self-mastery, and the cultivation of virtue. These are profound strengths. Yet for some people, another question eventually emerges. Even after developing discipline, even after achieving stability, even after learning to navigate life more effectively, why? Why am I here? What is the deeper significance of existence? What lies beyond material success, achievement, and survival? This is where another tradition enters the conversation: Gnosticism. While Stoicism primarily concerns itself with how we live, Gnosticism asks what we are. It turns attention inward, towards consciousness, towards spiritual awakening, toward direct knowledge. The word Gnosis itself is often translated as knowledge, but not merely intellectual knowledge, rather an experiential knowledge, a deeper recognition of truth. Many Gnostic writings suggest that human beings live in a state of forgetfulness, not necessarily ignorance in the conventional sense, but a forgetting of our deeper nature, a forgetting of who and what we truly are. One of the recurring themes within Gnostic texts is the idea that the truth is not merely something to be learned, it is something to be remembered, something to be awakened to. For many seekers, this perspective addresses a dimension of life that purely practical philosophies sometimes leave unexplored: the longing for meaning, the longing for transcendence, the longing to understand whether there is something deeper than the visible word. These are profound strengths as well. Yet here, another challenge emerges. Insight alone is not transformation. A person may speak beautifully about spirituality while remaining ruled by fear. A person may discuss enlightenment while lacking discipline. A person may seek higher truths while neglecting the practical realities of daily life. Spiritual insight without grounding can become escapism, just as discipline without deeper meaning can become hollow. This is the point at which Gnostoicism begins. Not as a rejection of Stoicism, not as a rejection of Gnosticism, but as an attempt to explore whether both traditions may be addressing different dimensions of the same human experience. Stoicism disciplines the mind, Gnosis awakens the spirit. Gnostoicism seeks the balance of both. From this perspective, Stoicism provides the foundation, the stability required for genuine growth, the capacity to remain grounded in the face of adversity, the ability to govern one's thoughts and actions. Gnosis then expands the horizon, encouraging the seeker to explore questions of meaning, consciousness, and spiritual understanding. One without the other can create imbalance. A person may become disciplined yet spiritually unfulfilled, or spiritually inspired yet lacking structure and self-mastery. Gnostoicism asks whether a more complete path might involve both. Not the abandonment of the world, and not complete attachment to it. Not pure rationalism, and not blind mysticism, but a dynamic balance between the physical and the spiritual, the practical and the transcendent, the disciplined mind and the awakened spirit. This is not presented as a final answer. It is not a claim of superiority over existing traditions, nor is it an attempt to replace them. Rather, it is an inquiry, an exploration, a philosophical experiment, an attempt to examine what might emerge when two powerful traditions are brought into conversation with one another. The purpose of this framework is not perfection, it is balance. To become grounded without becoming materialistic, spiritual without becoming detached, disciplined without becoming rigid, open-minded without becoming lost. If Stoicism teaches us how to navigate the world, and Gnosticism encourages us to look beyond it, then perhaps the next question is this: can a person learn to do both? That is the question that Gnostoicism seeks to explore, and it is the journey that begins now.